The following is intended only for mature audiences.
Open your ears and lube up your butthole. It's time for the What Do We Call It podcast. Now, here's your host. It's Jmann. Welcome to the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number one fan, Tim.
Let's close out the month with a happier story that relates to the past.
Okay.
Like a month and a half ago, I'm leaving work. You know, I got done at 10:30. I called Rick James. I'm like, Ricky, what are you doing? He's like, oh, we're just sitting at home hanging out. Why? I'm like, oh, well, the wife took all the kids out of town to the cabin. So I'm home alone. And I don't work until 2 o'clock tomorrow. He's like, well, you want to come over? I'm like, fuck yeah, I haven't seen him in like forever.
Mm-hmm.
So I go over to his house and we're sitting there. We're bullshitting. He's like, by the way, I got a present for you. Now, he had been working in Texas. Like, he had to go out of state for work, for, like, land surveying and stuff. And on the way back, he found some very rare wrestling action figures that we'd both been hunting for. So he bought me 2 of them. They're $20 a pop.
Aw, bitch.
He does shit like that.
Nice gift.
Because he knows I don't do that for myself very often. So I already thought the night was cool because of that. So we're sitting around. It's me, it's him, it's his younger brother.
You may recall that Rick's brother Joey infamously backed into my car, which was discussed in episode 21.
And this other guy who I've never met before, but I guess his name was Mike. And then as we're sitting there palling around, just shooting the shit, he's like, hey, I got this buddy, and he's going through some shit, and I guess he's drinking at home, and I don't know, man. He's just going through a rough patch, and I kind of don't want him to be alone. So he calls him, and he's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I wish you could come over. He's like, well, I can't. I've been drinking too much. He's like, okay, well, I'll call you back. So he gets off the phone. He's like, hey, to Rick's brother, do you want to go pick him up? He's like, well, I've been drinking too. I'm like, well, I'm stone sober. Let's go. He's like, I swear to God, dude, I'll give you $20. I'm like, well, you don't have to do that. He's like, okay, fine. I'll give you $40 right now. I'm like, I didn't believe that he was going to do that. I thought he was just saying that to coax me. I'm like, you don't got to give me money. And you said this is a friend of yours. You really care about him, and he's in need right now. How far away? It's like 2 or 3 miles away. I'd tell him, no, you don't got to do that. We go back and forth. He's very insistent. He pulls his wallet out. He gives me 2 $20 bills. And I'm like, I will go warm up the car. We get in the car. We went 1.5 miles. And we pick up this guy. And we're sitting there talking, and he's like, well, hey, thanks for picking me up. I'm like, no, it's all good, dude. Like, we didn't mention the money thing, obviously, because that was to sweeten the pot for me. You know, he's basically hiring me because he's like, well, I could call him an Uber, but, you know, you say you're willing to drive.
Yeah, just drive over there. You don't need money.
So as we're going, he proceeds to tell me that he was seeing this chick, and they were engaged, and it was pretty serious. He'd been with her a couple years. She decided that she was bi now and wanted to sleep with chicks.
But still sleep with him at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it sounded like she was hoping for an open relationship so she could fuck around.
Oh, no. I've been through that. It's not cool.
Those don't really work out too often unless it's both people agreeing to it, not one person suggesting it.
Well, my situation, if someone suggested it and me going, well, this is karma biting me in the ass.
Nah, no.
I thought it was.
That was just her being selfish as fuck. Just because you cheated on her in high school, when things weren't serious, before you were married or had kids, you think she came up with this diabolical plan? Now she's like, ha ha ha, I'm going to get really good at blowjobs and start fucking all my coworkers?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's kind of a roundabout way of getting from A to B to connect those dots. I wouldn't. Mm-hmm. That's not karma. She decided that married life and being a mom wasn't for her, and she wanted to slut it up.
She was known as a store whore, so.
But that doesn't mean that was her reasoning behind it. Like, ha ha ha, he got his then, I'm going to get mine now.
I don't know what the reasoning was.
So anyways, we're riding. The round trip to pick him up and get back to Rick's house was like 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. So I made $40 for 8 minutes worth of driving.
You made almost what I make at work in 10 minutes. Just kidding. I don't make that much.
Okay. Now, this guy, he looks scruffy. He's got a beard. There's, it's gray. It's like he's got salt and pepper hair and a beard. Mm-hmm. And I look at this dude when we get in Rick's house, because obviously it was dark in my car. It was my work car. He climbs in the back seat. It's a 2-door. So I don't really see him. Mm-hmm. But once we get in the kitchen, I look at him. I'm like, the fuck? And then he looks at me, looking at him like that, and he's like, Like, I can tell we're both doing this, like, confused puppy dog thing. I'm like, what did you say your last name was? And he told me, I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude, we graduated together. This is a guy, all right? I won't say he was one of my close friends, but we ran with the same group. At a certain point, I ditched those guys because 2 or 3 of them were royal assholes. Okay. I still associated with a couple of them. I hadn't seen any of them since high school, sans one guy who I ran into at college. And the reason that me and him bonded back in the day is just because he didn't give a fuck. He was a funny dude, and he had a brother with Down syndrome. And he used to joke, he's like, oh, we should get my brother together with your sister. I'm like, why? So they can have super retard babies? Once we recognize each other, we haven't seen each other in 21 years. Give or take a few months.
Is that when you graduated?
2000.
Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting.
So it's
that
like,
was a year behind.
Holy shit, we are hugging each other and fucking laughing and smiling about the odd coincidence of this.
What a small world, huh?
I thought so. And then we're just hanging out downstairs, we're playing pool. He proceeds to tell me how 2 or 3 of those guys were driving his car one time. Well, they were out in Wisconsin because he went to school up in Wisconsin, I think Superior. Mm-hmm. And they get pulled over because they screeched the tires while coming out of a gas station right in front of a cop. The car was his. It was in his dad's name. They had some weed in the glove box.
Ruh-roh.
Not wanting his dad's car to get seized, he took the rap for it. And they said they'd help him out, obviously, with the fine for bailing out and shit. They basically left him high and dry because they said if we get in trouble, one of us is on probation from a D-dub, the other one will lose their job. So they let him take the fall.
Did he take it voluntarily or no?
Basically, yes.
Okay. I thought it was a deal where they screwed him over.
They did. He ate a big plate of dog shit to help them out, and then they dropped him like a bad habit.
Okay, so after, okay.
Yeah. So he does them this favor. His dad's an attorney who has one of his lawyer friends defend him, but Jesus Christ, it was like a felony amount of weed that got knocked down to a misdemeanor.
Wow.
But he's got that on his record forever.
How much is it for a felony for weed?
It's not much. I think it's like 42.5 grams and above.
Oh, that's really small.
Or at least it was when I was in cop school. Whatever it is now, who fucking knows? I don't know.
50
Don't
pounds.
Quote me on that. No, it's a very minute amount. And so we're still talking. We're playing pool. He kicks my ass at pool twice, and he's pissed drunk. Like, he got progressively drunker during the 2 games of pool because he took a few shots with Mike.
I shoot pool better when I'm drinking. I golf better when I'm drinking. I don't take it so seriously, and I actually loosen up, and I actually do a good job.
Well, the thing of it is that we're sitting there. I'm like, it's so odd that of all the people from high school that I would run into, it's him, and I would run into him this way, and he's drunk and trying to drink away the pain of his problems, and I'm the only sober one out of all of us that could go pick him up to bring him over, and he pours his heart out about all this bad shit that's been going on since I've seen him last. I'm just like, fate put me in your path tonight. He's like, dude, I'm so fucking glad I ran into you. So obviously we haven't had a chance to hang out because of my work schedule being all second shifts. But yeah, like reconnecting with this dude.
Oh, that's cool.
The funny thing is, like, the money thing got mentioned. I don't know if it would hurt his feelings that his friend paid me to come pick him up. He was paying me to do him a favor because he didn't know how else to pull it off without spending money on an Uber or something, right?
Which I would have just insisted on doing it for free, but leave the $40 on his counter when I go home.
That's the fucked up part. Is the whole night I'm sitting there with these 220s in my pocket, and I almost like put it in his car. I felt shitty taking it. Before I even knew it was a guy from high school, I felt weird about taking the money. Because I will do people favors. I've silver cabbed so many times in my life. I'm giving like that. Despite the fact that I'm a horrible son of a bitch who wants to punch my childhood bullies in the throat, I enjoy doing kind things for people. It makes me feel nice.
You don't treat people badly. You treat them accordingly. And there's nothing wrong with it. That's kind of how I do things. I'll be a nice guy. I'll come help you out. But if you start fucking with me, you start pissing me off, you're not going to get the nice Tim.
You won't like me when I'm angry. And I'll take off my shirt and I'll give you a sweaty man hug. And you'll feel my chest hair. And it will be itchy. I just kind of took it and turned it into Liam Neeson's speech from Taken.
What? I've never seen the movie. Liam Neeson. Fuck Liam Neeson. Whatever the fuck his name is. Liam Neeson. Fuck him.
Why?
He's a hypocrite. He's not as badass as everyone says he is.
Well, no, he's a 60-something-year-old man they're playing as an action hero, which is not believable. It's fucking pathetic.
No, it's not. I have a certain set of skills that find people like you, and I will bring you down, or however he fucking
it's a very particular set of skills. I will find you.
Was it threatening people on the phone?
And I will kill you. Good luck. Click. Have you run into anybody that you hadn't seen from high school since then? Do you have any stories like this?
Not really like that. Remember I was doing a burning of the Christmas tree several years ago, and I forgot, I put on Facebook, I said, hey, if you're nothing going on, we got a big bonfire going on at my house, and, give me a call or show on up, and probably like an hour and a half later, a buddy of mine from high school, he was kind of like the outer ring of my group.
Yeah.
Really nice guy, It just, he was a little bit more different than I preferred, I guess. Well, he shows up at my house.
What do you mean more different?
Well, he's kind of different, he's really into Batman. And so, like
he collects Batman memorabilia, or when he's home by himself, he wears the costume and then watches old episodes of the animated series and pictures himself saving the day.
I don't know about that part of it, but he collects stuff. Every Halloween costume I've ever seen him wear has to do with Batman. We got together for a Halloween party last fall, and he came as Batman with the mask and the leather. I mean, it wasn't a fantastic costume, like the chest piece was obviously like the rubber one that you buy at Walmart or whatever. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. But I mean, he's trying to put the costume together. So, but I mean, I was like, somebody's here, so I go walking around the edge of the garage. You've been to my house, so the fire pit was there, so I go walking between the garage and the house, and just like, holy shit, dude, what are you doing here? It's just like, hey, you said anybody could come. I was like, how'd you know where I lived? And he's like, well, your address is on Facebook. I'm like, oh, okay. And it's just
like in the posting, I got rid of it. What the fuck?
No, it was in my personal information.
Jesus Christ, what is wrong with you?
This is very new to Facebook for me.
Oh my God. That's just like putting your fucking employer in there, and I told you to dumb it down and make it less specific.
I did, so
anyways.
But yeah, so it's just like he shows up, and it's just like, hell yeah, we started talking about all kinds of good stuff, and then he told me he was getting divorced from his wife. I was just like, oh, bummer, because, I was kind of friends with her before I was friends with you, but it was probably a couple years later when Tommy was living with me.
Uh-huh.
Like, he comes out, I'm out in the garage working on something, and he's just like, I got a friend coming over. I was like, okay, who? And he goes, it's so-and-so. And I was like, why are you having her come over here? This is a girl I cheated on with in high school. So it's like Tommy knew her and our history together. And, but we ended things kind of badly. So, she comes over, and she, at first, was very, very cold to me, and then she kind of opened up a little bit, but, like, she's like, I told her, I'm sorry for things. She's like, you don't know what you're apologizing for, do you? I was like, no, not really. She's just like, then that's not an apology. She kind of walked away.
Oh.
They went and did their own thing. Well, since then, I actually thought about why she was so pissed at me, why things ended the way they did. Gave her an apology for it, we've been pretty good friends since. She's actually married to my brother.
Oh.
Yeah, her.
Okay.
And awkward. He knows the past. I mean, she told him. And then...
I wonder if there's a special name for when you're Eskimo brothers with your actual brother. Does that make you super Eskimo bros?
I don't know, but I just want it to be known that I am not the sloppy seconds on anybody.
Wasn't there some chick that, like, he was banging and then she gave you a blowjob?
Oh, that's a gray area, I think.
Oh, is it a gray area because it contradicts the standard that you just laid out?
Well, because I never actually had sex with her.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Mr. Clinton, settle down. Sucking is fucking.
Okay, fine. If you want to put it that way, then I guess at that point in time I was sloppy seconds. But I don't know who went first, him or me.
You don't know whose dick was in her mouth first?
I don't. I really don't.
You guys need to figure this out.
Oh, you know what? Next time I talk to my brother, I'll ask him, hey, do you remember way back when I was getting my dick sucked and you were making moves on her?
Yeah, figure out the timetable.
Okay, I'll find out. I mean, I'm going to probably say chances are pretty good. I was probably second. So, okay, 1.
Cool.
But I got him back. I fucked his wife. Before she was his wife. Let's be clear about that.
That's so awkward.
Like 18 years before they even got together.
Yeah, no, that's. I'm pretty sure I don't want to meet any of the other dudes that bang my wife, or I might knife them.
Don't worry about it. Water under the bridge.
Don't worry about it. These weird interactions of how you cross paths with people from way earlier in your life. It's interesting to me. I was like, how odd that connected by Rick and his brother is a guy I went to high school with I hadn't seen in 2 fucking decades. And on one of the biggest nights of him needing, friends to support him, there we were.
And so you almost want to feel sorry for him because he was going through such a hard time and you guys used to be buds, so.
We never hung out outside of school. We never played pool, and he was drinking beers with people, basically having a small friendly get-together back in high school. Like, we saw each other at school.
I had a bunch of friends that were like that.
But, now, this guy needs more friends. And I'm like, I'm here for you, bud. So, closing it out with this happier thought for the month, that you can go back to your past and see people. And even though he hung out with kids that I felt shit on me, he didn't really do it. So I was able to forgive any small relation to those transgressions. Like, I'm capable of forgiving people for stuff. But like you said with that gal, it's like, you don't even know what you're apologizing for. I'm not accepting that. Motherfuckers have to mean it. You have to tell me why I should not want to do you harm as recompense for all the pain you caused me. All the shit that I got into, try to defend myself. Because it's just like in hockey. The ref's not going to see the infraction. The ref's going to see the retaliation for the infraction, and then you're going to the penalty box.
Yeah.
That was my childhood in a nutshell. So nice to meet somebody again and say, oh yeah, you can still see people from your past and have happy memories. Like, I'm still capable of doing that. Which it's very relieving to have one of those in the win column with so many borderline losses that I still am trying to find ways that I hope I can avenge. Interact with the show on Twitter at What Do We Call It? That is at What Do We Call It? You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/What Do We Call It podcast show for the What Do We Call It podcast. I'm Jmann.
And I'm number 1 fan Tim.
And that's the end.